Welcome back, everybody. We have Bats and Stats presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. I am Brian, as always, my compadre Ross R. Jensen, and we have a guest. We have a great guest tonight, Mr. Ryan Epperson. Ryan, how are you tonight, my friend?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Ryan, so obviously you're doing some stuff with the Dynasty Gurus, and then you're also writing for Scout the Statline. I'd like to get into that a little bit as well, but how'd you get into it? I think this is a pretty good question for everybody that we have on the podcast, but is your love for writing because of fantasy baseball, or do you just like writing in general?
I kind of started out just being interested in baseball. I mean, I played my whole life, and I've always kind of a big reader and stuff, and I like writing sort of different things, but my main focus was always on sports. And then in December, I saw a tweet from Taylor saying, if anybody wants, hop on board Dynasty Guru, send me an article. So I actually sent an article about one of the guys we're going to talk about today, Endy Rodriguez, and he liked it and said, all right, well, start writing for us. And ever since, it's been going pretty well.
So that's a pretty good name to drop out there right now. Endy Rodriguez, he's climbing. It's a fun little family that we got going on between Dynasty Gurus and Scout Statline. I mean, we're like step siblings or something. I don't know what you'd really call us. Maybe second distance cousins, however you want to say it. But it's working out great. I think our content is bar none between the two of us. So everything's going really good. With that, your big piece with Scout the Statline is Sunday surgical notes. Yeah. So are you a surgeon, or are you a practicing surgeon?
No. I'm nothing that fancy. So what I do is I'm a surgical assistant. So I assist the surgeon in the operations.
Sure.
So I went to school I started off as a surgical tech, and that's you pass instruments and stuff and get the sterile field and all that stuff ready. But I took another couple classes and became a surgical assistant, and that's when you start assisting with the operation. You're basically the surgeon's mirror. If they're doing something on one side, you're doing something on the other. So you have to know pretty much the whole operation. You're thinking ahead just like the surgeon and everything. So it's pretty interesting.
You're a hell of a lot smarter than I am. That's awesome. That's pretty cool, man. So the surgical notes, did it just come from being the surgeon assistant? Where did this guy come from? Because I like it. I think it's a great article.
I wanted to get my foot in the door at Scout the Statline because I thought it was a really cool idea. And the more I've been doing the article series, the more I've actually liked it, because what I like to do is I'll go through, one week I do prospects, the other week I do MLB hitters. I think this week I'm doing MLB hitters again. Yeah. So I'll set the parameters for 250 top hitters or whatever. And then I'll categorize that by biggest ranking changes. And then I'll go down the list and pick out guys that I think are interesting. And then I'll look at it deeper. And I think that's where Scout the Statline is awesome, because I've been able to pick out guys that have broken out or suggested to pick up before anybody else has. Like 2 or 3 weeks before anybody else was on Nick Prado, I was out there saying, hey, go pick up Nick Prado. He's climbing our ranks steadily. And it's awesome. Like, I never thought that'd be something. So, I mean, that's a credit to Ross, to you, everybody else that got on the ground floor and Scout the Statline.
Yeah. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm just a face. This is Ross. And
you're a pretty face, though.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it's groundbreaking stuff. You hit it on the nail. You can get a lot of things before a lot of the masses can get if you are a part of Scout the Statline. Ross, I apologize, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, it's all about actional intelligence, right?
Right.
And And I think Ryan's really highlighted that well, and he's fit a need that we had. In fact, the reason that we started this article series was I got user feedback. One of our customers was like, "Hey, something that I'm lacking is an interpretation of the data. When it gets updated, like, what are the things that I need to know?" And so we have some people that are really intelligent, like Ryan, that can actually step in there and write, a piece that says these are the changes that are important and something worthwhile watching. And that's one area where I think we're trying to get stronger at Scout the Statline, is in the expert analysis side of it. We've got the intelligence, we've got the data, it's there, and people can use it. And that's the intention behind this whole thing. But there are a lot of people out there, and I've learned this more over time, that they want somebody to help them with that piece of the analysis, of finding the guys. And so that's where I think this piece really fits a strong need. And I do want to say a couple things, if you guys don't mind, just about Ryan. Ryan, you started writing at the beginning of this year. Was it the beginning of this year? So it's been only about 6 months, and I kind of feel like Ryan has been with the Dynasty Guru for like years. That was the feeling I had, because he's already done so much writing for them, and he's stepped up and taken some important functions over at that organization. And likewise, I'm open. I'm open to anyone that wants to be a part of this whole operation. And he just reached out and was like, "Hey, can I write over there?" And I was like, "Dude, that would be great." I'll take whatever I can get, So I was just thrilled by that, especially knowing Ryan and knowing he's really good at what he does. And we've had some good banter about players that we just see differently about, and that's what this is all about. It's not just about like the Ross show, like it's got to be my guys in my way. Like that's not the case at all. I have opinions, and I'm always expressing them. But I'm
strong opinions.
Strong opinions. But I'm open to listening to other people's thoughts about things like this. And as I've said in the past, Scout the Statline stands on its own. And Ryan's using it in totally different ways and interpreting the data in ways that are suitable for him too. So yeah, I'm just thrilled by it, and we're happy to have you, Ryan, helping us out.
Thanks.
Awesome.
I did it mostly for the free subscription.
Yeah. That's why I'm here too. That's great. So you mentioned that you've always been playing baseball. What position did you play?
I was actually a catcher for probably most of my life. I ended up tearing my labrum and rotator cuff junior year, and so I kind of put a kibosh on everything.
Yeah,
I could never hit a lick, but I had a D3 school looking at me a little bit. I hit like 280 in high school, which isn't anything to be proud of.
I couldn't hit 280.
So Ryan, I'm curious about that. Did that play a role into your profession now?
Yeah, I always had an interest in medicine. I was in the military for, 6 years. Worked some odd jobs after, because I joined right out of high school, and I did construction in the military. And then when I got out, I was like, you're kind of aimless once you get out of the military, and you look for something to be a part of. And I was like, well, why don't I do something I want to try to do, or that I like to do? And I Googled medical careers and saw that. I was like, that'd be badass, looking at helping surgeons. So
heck yeah. Anyways, I'm thirsty, so I want to go first.
Okay.
We're gonna do it's the beer of the pod, the best part of the podcast, beer of the pod, but it really should be the drink of the pod, because a lot of us don't just drink beer. And we're going to see some wines, we're going to see some whiskeys, we're going to see some vodka. You're going to see all kinds of good stuff when we start rolling this out. But I have a new one tonight. My wife actually picked it up for me, and I said, just pick up whatever you got. That's at Albertsons. And this one is from Highlander Beer, and it's called Strange Haze. IPA. This one's from Missoula, Montana. Missoula is a different place. If you guys don't know much about Missoula, Montana, but it's up in the mountains. A lot of trees, a lot of political views, lots of interesting stuff going on up there. But this is what the saying says on the back, and this will make a little bit of sense for the people that know what I'm talking about. It says, "Remember when Jim Morrison crooned that people are strange? Here in Missoula, we celebrate our strangeness. This hazy IPA is a juicy and slightly bitter, creating a balance folks around here are going crazy for."
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. It's Montana beer.
It's probably going to taste like you're chewing on a bud.
A pine cone. It's good, Ed. I'll take out a can. Really powerful, really strong, citrus, and then hops, citrus and hops.
Is it dank?
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean,
dang.
It's not gonna be a beer that I drink all the time, but for you guys, I will drink it right now.
Perfect.
Brian, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing a little Irish whiskey today. It's going to be backwards, but let's see up here. Little writer's tears. It's an Irish whiskey. What's the bottle say? It's a unique vatting of single pot still and single malt Irish whiskey, triple distilled for extra smoothness, aged and matured for perfection in flame charred bourbon barrels. It's distilled entirely of barley in traditional Irish copper pot stills, bursting with flavor and complexity. Actually, I need a little more.
There we go.
Straight, or are you drinking it with anything?
Just straight. I'm a simple man.
Simple man. I like that. I've always, for a long time, I've kind of wanted to get into having more of a palate for whiskeys and bourbons. It just hasn't quite clicked with me.
And I'll share a secret.
Okay.
I went on my first distillery tour a couple years ago, and we got to the tasting portion, and the I don't know what the correct name for the guy is, but he said, what you want to do is you take a sip, you don't swallow it, swish it around your mouth, and the alcohol will desensitize your mouth, and then you swallow that next sip you'll be able to taste everything, and it won't burn or anything.
Interesting.
That's good advice. While we're on the point of whiskeys, I like whiskeys, I like bourbons. I like to try all that stuff. The one thing I can't do, and Ryan, if you can, please speak up. I can't drink scotch.
So I can only do the Lagavulin, right? The fancy one, $160 bottle, whatever. I had it at my brother-in-law's brother's house, and he has a mansion right next to Michael Jordan, so it's like he'd let me take the bottle of Lagavulin home. But that was it sounds weird when you say you're drinking a campfire and it tastes good and you want more, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can run down a expensive bottle of scotch, give it a go.
I love it.
So how do you describe the writer's tears?
So there's it's a caramely pear to it. That's kind of how I describe it. I don't know if there's tasting notes on there. Flashes of apple with hints of vanilla and honey over a distinctly Irish pot still base. It's gently spiced with a burst of ginger and butterscotch with background notes of toasted oak.
All kinds of stuff going on in there.
So
is that a regular drinker?
It's I'm like I said, I'm a simple man. This is like a $35 bottle. I usually drink Old Granddad bourbon, which is $15-20 a bottle. That's usually what I stick to. But this is always good, and it's appropriate for this discussion.
I love it. I love it. Ross, what do you got, man?
All right. So I'm going with another one of these beers, Brian, that you're gonna say I'm chewing. It's an imperial stout. It's a dark beer. This one is called. Let's see, light. I'm gonna turn that off again. It's called Bombastic, or it's called Murder by Bombastic Brewing, Imperial Stout. So you see, there's 3 crows or ravens or whatever those are, and there's one that's been stabbed to death.
They are ravens, and a flock of ravens is called a murder.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I didn't even put that together. I'm glad you were here. Okay. So, but the reason I picked this out is more so the brewery name, Bombastic, because I think sometimes at least people perceive that some of my tweets and commentary can be slightly bombastic. It's not
no.
You know, I have a tendency to throw stuff out there and take a strong stand on it. And so here we go. Let me read the description real quick. This says it's an imperial stout with a silky body, notes of vanilla and cinnamon, chocolate finish, and with a slight spice from peppers. Reminiscent of a Mexican chocolate cake. Now there's the part that I'm kind of like that. Okay, here we go.
That's where you lose me. The chocolate and beer. And people love it, but I just can't do it. Yeah, that is straight. That's just chewing on it, man. That's truck stop coffee right there.
So I actually went back and forth between this and hazy IPA. But I feel like I've been drinking a lot of IPAs and hazies in particular, and so I kind of wanted to take a break. So here we go.
That's certainly the opposite.
You know, for as long as I've known him, he's always drank the really dark beers.
Has he? Mm-hmm. I used to be really big into microbrews and stuff. At some point, man, I was just like, if I want a beer, I want like a Labatt Blue or Yingling or something just normal. We'll go to breweries and stuff and I'll have them and I'll enjoy them, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
how was it, Ross?
This is more so for the show, because if I'm drinking a specialty beer, then I'm going to be more likely to make it a fancy darker beer, something that's usually I'm drinking like pales or IPs. That's kind of my go-to. It's good. I mean, that description is really appropriate. You can definitely pick up on the spices in the back end, and there is like an odd sweetness. I wouldn't describe this as a sweet beer, but there is like an odd, like a chocolate cake sweetness to it. It's pretty good. I'm impressed with it, actually. Murder.
The podcast, the beer of the pod never disappoints. You can drink all these regularly.
This one is strong. This is an imperial stout. It's 10.5%. So that's
that'll get you where you're going.
Yeah.
But anyways,
beer. I love it.
Yeah. There's the drinks of the pod for this show, with Ryan being on here and being the surgical technician assistant that he is. I came up with something new for this podcast, and this one I want to call a Re-Animation of the Dead. And basically what this is a few guys we were massively high on at the beginning of the year that have had slow starts, but we think that they're just going to go insane in the second half, because, you know, we're approaching the second half real quick already. I mean,
shocking.
Yeah, time freaking flies. It's going by way too quick. Baseball season's almost halfway over. But yeah, these guys, we wanted them to start out hot, and we think they're going to still take off in the second half. I'm going to start it off. I got 2 guys on here, and they're both prospects. Number 1 is Robert Hassell. And Robert Hassell, I had probably the highest expectations of to begin the year. When he got traded from San Diego to Washington, I thought this was going to be a rocket ship to the major leagues, and I thought they wanted to do it that way. Him and James would both. I thought they traded Soto to the Padres, got Hassell and Wood back, and a pitcher. I can't remember the pitcher's name, but I thought they just wanted to streamline these guys straight to the pros. It's not working out amazing, but I still have high hopes for it. So let me run down through Hassell's numbers to start this year. He's got 207 at bats. He's batting .217. His on-base percentage is .333, slugging .300. He's only hit 2 home runs. He's striking out almost twice as much as he's walking, so 65 strikeouts, 37 walks. It doesn't look pretty. He's only got 7 doubles. The slugging percentage is 33 points lower than his on-base percentage. That average at .217 is a struggle. I believe the world of Robert Hassell, and I think the second half, he's not going to make the pros this year. He's 21 years old. He's got a good body, 6'1", 195. He might catch fire. Well, I'm betting on him catching fire, getting to AAA by the end of the year, and then maybe a big league call up next year. It's not going to happen this year. He needs to boost that average by at least 50 points before they even think about calling him up to AAA. But I love Robert Hassell III. I think he's great. He has plummeted quite a bit for top 100 prospects, but this is somebody that if somebody's in your league is completely off him, go buy low, and then reap the benefits next year. Okay, with Robert Hassell, can you guys give me a thumbs up or thumbs down whether you think he can turn it on and if you're still a believer?
Ooh, that's 2 thumbs down for the listeners.
so now,
love it.
Now, is this because of what he's doing, or were you guys off him at the beginning of the year?
So I had drafted him in my longtime dynasty league, and I'm still holding him. I've tried to throw him in any trade I can, and nobody wants him. Yeah. And he came up when he was first drafted. He was an advanced field high school player with a good bat control and good hitting ability.
Yeah.
And they thought, he might grow into his power. Power never really came. He stopped stealing. Now he stopped hitting. And so he was promoted to AA again this year. Yeah. And I mean, 30% K rate, 11% walk, but only 5 stolen bases on the year, 1 home run in AA, 1 home run in single A, and he's not hitting the ball at all. So I don't know. He's still young for the age or for the level, right? So there's always that maybe he'll catch back up. And he did have that hamate injury last year, which saps power, as everybody knows. But at some point, the prospect shine is off. But he could be a decent buy low. I mean, as like a second or third prospect where you're like, I have room to hold him for a year to see what happens.
Geez, Bob Ross, why don't you put some yellow in your paint today instead of all these dark clouds?
Well, I've got some more clouds to paint for you.
Oh boy.
I've had a similar experience to Ryan. I've owned this guy in leagues and just no take.
You can't give him away.
No interest. And it's like, coming into the year, this is a fairly well-regarded prospect still, and just nothing. It's a troubling trend he's on. And now he's repeating AA. He started the season in single A. Granted, he was recovering from injury and all that stuff. And so I'm giving him a pass on that. But now at AA, his numbers are worse than they were last year, and they were not good last year. Well, they're roughly equivalent, which is maybe even worse because it shows that this is just the level he's at. I mean, that's 300 plate appearances now. And he's striking out at 30% through 300 plate appearances, AA. It's not good. Yeah, I think I'm trying to stay away at this point. Oh, by the way, the pitcher you were thinking of, I think, is Jarlin Susana.
Yeah.
That was included in that deal? Padres?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, guys, I'm still on board, but I'm on the plank. I'm about ready to do a high dive. The only reason that I brought him up is I'm still there. Like I have faith still, and I'm one of those guys that will hold. Ross is not one of these guys. Just knowing him personally, he will not hold. He will sell. He will trade bait. It's fine. He won't even blink twice about it. I'm a guy that I'll wrap my hands around somebody, and it's going to take quite a bit for you to peel them out of me. Hassell's one of them. I'm still a believer, but I'm on the plank. I'm about ready to do a high dive. Ryan, sounds like you've already jumped off the boat.
I'm still holding them. I can't give them away at this point. So,
well, I think to just deviate from this topic just slightly, we had a good conversation with Taylor Case about that, getting attached. Yeah. And my philosophy is avoid attachments when it comes to prospects, because that's the thing that kills you, is being too attached to guys. You have to evolve as they evolve, as they show their colors. Now, the flip side of this, Brian, is I do think his numbers improve in the second half. And I think that mostly because they can't get
They have to.
It's worse.
So I don't know if I think it's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it has been.
Sure.
So
it's fair.
There's the flip side.
My second guy that we're going to dive into is going to be Mr. Jace Jung. Jace Jung is 6'5", 205 pounds, and he's with the Detroit Tigers. He was drafted in the first round, pick number 12 overall. He's 22 now. He is in high A. His stats don't look bad, but I thought he was gonna really light the world up, especially in the high A manner. And I expected him to already be in Double A. It hasn't come to fruition yet. This profile is not near as scary as Hassell is. So what we got, a 22-year-old, he's in high A, and that's a little bit old for the grouping, but he is batting .250 in 216 at-bats. His on-base percentage is .358, slugging .458, got 11 home runs and a stolen base, 65 strikeouts and 33 walks. I like it. It's fine. But that's all it is. It's fine. And I thought it was going to be just, once again, a rocket ship to the moon. It hasn't happened yet, but I fully expect his second half to be insane. And everybody's going to, especially with the pedigree too. I mean, his older brother, Jace, is probably going to be Rookie of the Year.
And who called that?
This guy.
There's a reason why maybe we should listen to you. That's for sure.
Maybe not on the Hassell one. You guys can probably skip that first part of the segment, but it's okay. Do you guys got anything on Jace Jung?
Oh, should we give our thumbs?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
2 thumbs up for the listeners.
I just had to pick up steam. That's all I needed. I needed that warm up. I had to get it out of the way. It's like It's like giving up a home run on your first pitch, man. I just had to get it out of the way.
Just had to settle in. So I'm with you on this one, and I think he's already showing signs of it. He's coming alive this month. His slugging percentage in June is .587. So he seems to be turning a corner, and I'm hopeful that it continues. You're right, the pedigree is there. I'm shocked that this guy has failed to deliver so far. Actually, I thought he was going to be a real good ball player, so surprised by it. But I'm hopeful. There's light at the end of the tunnel, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he's an extreme pull hitter. So I think he'll always have little trouble on the outside half of the plate, blowing away and all that. But I believe in him. I'm actually encouraged. He should be promoted soon. And once he's promoted, I actually am in Erie, which is Tigers AA affiliate. So I'll get to see a lot of him. I've got to see a lot of Colt Keith lately. So
we could talk an entire segment about Colt Keith. That's one of our guys, man. We love that guy.
Yeah, I think I have in my third base rankings, I think I have him at number 8
overall.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that. See, I put him at 10, and as is usually the case, people are like, "How can you put this guy at 10?"
You're a lightning rod.
Yeah, he is.
Man, my number 10 guy, I didn't think number 10 was that aggressive of a ranking for any players, but my number 10 guy in shortstop, I sure got some grief for that.
Oh, man.
Let's not relive that one, but
yeah, and let's not get too far off segment here, but yes, Ryan, we are Colt Keith fans. We stayed up a little bit last night and, just talked, just spitballing and stuff like that. And Colt Keith was a major talking point that we talked about last night. Especially me as a Tigers fan, I love him. Like, he's the next coming in my world.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I love it.
That's great stuff. Great stuff. So Jace Jung, I would say everybody's going to say, go get him. Go get him.
Oh yeah, if you can.
It's time to buy low if you can.
Okay.
Everybody at the right price, of course, but
hey, I'm batting 500. That's all I can ask for. Let's jump into Ross's choices. And Ross's choices, his first one here is going to be a 19-year-old with a single A affiliate, Tampa Bay Rays. He is a first baseman. He's 6'3", 240 pounds. He's only 19 years old, and he goes by the name of Xavier Isaac. So, is it just Xavier?
I think Xavier. I think you got
it. Okay, yeah, Xavier Isaac. So his stat line sitting for this year, he's got 158 at bats. He's batting 266, on base percentage of 398, OPS of 847, 6 home runs, 1 stolen base. He's got 26 RBIs. Ross, go ahead and jump into him now.
Sorry, I might have been cheating a little bit on this one because he's already starting to look pretty good. But at the beginning of the season, it was looking rough, and I had this in my mind, like, this guy's going to start hitting. And it started happening really last month. But if you look at his splits by month, he was only batting like 6 or 150 that first month through the season. But he was showing really good plate discipline. He had as many walks as strikeouts for a young guy at single A. That's notable to me. And then he's just taken off since then. And aggregate the next 2 months, including this month and a half, I guess, he's been slugging close to 600, hitting over 300 or around 300 with an on-base percentage well over 400. I think he's another great Rays prospect. And I've heard from the scouting angle that this guy's got just a super slick stroke that people love to watch. So that's like the handshake, right? Stats plus scouting. There you go. Those are the guys you want. So cheated a little bit because he's already starting to look good. But I want to shine a spotlight on this guy, especially because I think he is going to be really good. He's already showing his colors right now. So pick him up before it's too late. That's my thoughts.
Ryan, has there ever been something that you read about a player that like it's just an instant lightning bolt, like I don't know, like a sweet swing or anything like that? Just instant lightning bolt. I got to check this guy out. Any kind of verbiage that you read.
Not really, to be honest with you.
The reason that I bring that up is me and Ross and a lot of the guys in our hometown league, there's one sentence that we all, once we read it, like everybody is just wasps on a dead pig. It's quick wrists. When we see quick wrists, it's just like, man, we got to go get this guy. Who is this guy?
You do love quick wrists.
Yeah.
I'm exempted from that. I only look at the numbers. I'm like a robot, so
I know.
Do you got anything on Xavier Isaac, Ryan?
Oh, you guys got to give me your thumbs first.
It's a thumbs up, obviously. He's, like you said, he's already dug himself out of that hole. Power's still good. I mean, he's graded at, a 60 power on Fangraphs, potential power, so... I mean, I'm all in. He's walking as much as he's striking out too, so there's nothing not to like about him. Like you said, this probably might be his lowest you might be able to get him at.
Yep.
I think that was kind of a layup, Ross.
It's a layup. No, I know.
Maybe shoot a 3 every now and again, bud.
I'm trying to bat 1,000. That's what I'm going for.
That is a big body, though. That's a 19-year-old that is 6'3", 240 pounds. That's a big dude.
So the only thing is that he's already maxed out probably in power, right?
Could be. Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, he's still got to get his eye and bat on the ball, so he's got a long way to improve that, so that can develop power as well.
Well, I mean, so these big guys that are fully matured, presuming he is not going to continue to grow, a lot of times you see them hit with higher power numbers in the lower minors, and it doesn't quite carry through as well to the pros. That doesn't always happen, of course, but there's that potential risk. But I mean, there's very little problems I see with his offensive profile. So yeah, I'm all in.
I love it. And you got 2 viewers just giving you a thumbs up on the other side. Way to cherry pick, Ross. Way to cherry pick.
Well, that's
all right.
This next one might be a little more controversial, though.
I don't think this one's controversy either, and I actually think that this is another technical foul layup. We're gonna go ahead with the next one. Keibert Ruiz. He's 6'1", 227 pounds. He is 24 years old. He's going to be 25. He'll be 25 next month. This year is all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go into his career. I'm sure Ross will, but this year, 221 at bats. He's got 8 home runs. His average is 235, on base 298, and he's slugging 385. Go ahead, buddy. Paint that picture.
Well, I mean, the OPS is pitiful, and it has been since he's been a professional. 687 career. It's at 682 right now, so it's even lower than his career numbers. Little bit higher than last year. But that's not really fantasy relevant. He's a catcher, so maybe you can plug him in there and be okay with it, especially given his age, for dynasty purposes. But it hasn't been great, so I'm really doing this on the strength of this is a high volume contact guy. He always has been his entire career, and I'm okay with that profile, but he did have power in AAA before he came to the major leagues. And so to me, there's a glimmer of hope that there's going to be some power that comes around.
Where did he come from?
Where did he come from?
Yeah,
he was the
international
Nationals.
Before the Nationals, though.
Dodgers?
Was he Dodgers?
I think he was a Dodger.
Yeah, he came from the Dodgers. Sorry. Yeah. He was in the Scherzer deal. Okay. What was your question again, Ryan? Sorry.
Isn't the Dodgers AAA team, like, the stadium is pretty homer happy?
maybe that's part of it, but I mean, he's slugged over 600. So even if you're getting some cheap shots, it seems like that's a lot there, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, there's another point to that, and that's Gavin Lux. So.
Oh, Gavin.
Gavin Lux hasn't quite figured it out, and he was unbelievable when he was in AAA. So.
Let's leave Gavin out of this, okay, guys?
His biceps were looking big this spring, though.
You know, there's a running joke, Ryan, that we have, at least that I have with one of my buddies that's in my home league. And it's about Elvis Andrus. And every year it was like there was an article coming out about how he was bulking up and how power was coming in, like it's coming, like he's going to be a power hitter. And it just became this running joke because we would send each other these articles every preseason. Nothing ever happened. Nothing changed. It's the same guy. You know, he'd hit like 8 home runs. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm hopeful if we get a little bit of power, there's a different player here. If we don't,
sure,
we're probably. I still think we're looking at a higher average guy ultimately, but you know, I don't know if we're looking at a top 5 catcher or anything like that. He's got to develop something to get there. What do you think, Ryan? Are you? It sounds like Brian's a thumbs up. What do you think, Ryan?
I was looking. I didn't have a chance to look at him before all that much, but so his BABIP is maybe 40 points below normal. I'm trying to see.
That's pretty. That's helpful. I like that.
Oh, he's he's chasing a lot more. So let's see. O swing. Yeah.
The crazy crazy,
but he's making contact apparently.
Yeah, the crazy
not good
thing
contact though.
Not good contact.
Yeah.
He's not striking out or walking.
No.
So it's very peculiar what he's doing.
Like he's swinging at bad pitches. That's but he can get the barrel on the ball.
He was. That's the kind of player I was when I played baseball, Ryan. I could hit the bad pitches, but I couldn't hit them well. And
he does have a 63% barrel rate, though, or top 63rd percentile, which is interesting for him since he doesn't have any power, really.
Yeah.
Although 8 home runs.
Actually, STS
he's got more power than I thought.
Decent power, yeah. They give him 18 per 600 plate appearances, which is okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not
for
awful.
A catcher, sure. When he's still only 24.
Mm-hmm. Young guy.
So, I mean, catchers notoriously take longer to mature into hitters. So,
and we went on a big spiel about this in the off season about all these uber athletic catchers, and Keibert was one of them. So I like it. I think it's great. He's not going to be a stolen base guy or anything like that, but he's going to get a couple here and there.
8% strikeout rate, man.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just odd,
right?
Yeah, very odd.
Really interesting.
If he could chip in, he had 6 steals last year. If he could chip in 5-6 steals, or maybe do 16-10 with a decent average, that plays.
Yeah, he's got one of the most interesting profiles, and I thought this would show up a little bit better in the major leagues than it has so far. I mean, I wasn't expecting or projecting him to be a superstar, but I thought he would be a little more effective than he has been now. So I do think he's a buy opportunity. But
trying to see where I ranked him.
My thoughts
forward with something, that's for sure.
My thoughts on Keibert in your leagues is the person that owns him is probably in too deep at this point. So he's going to be difficult to get. Because I would imagine everybody's seeing the same thing we are. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But he might just be a league average guy. I'm presuming that he's been drafted by the team that owns him, and they've loved his AAA stats. They've loved everything in the minors, and now he's just not. He's just doing weird things, I guess, and they're in too deep. They're not letting him go for at least a couple more years.
Always depends.
That's what I see.
Worth asking, worth finding out if he's, again, everybody at the right price. If you got somebody that's burned out on him and you're hard up at catcher, maybe it's an option for you.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, you got 2 thumbs up, or you got 4 thumbs up during your little segment there, bud, with layups.
Batting 1,000. Cherry picked in the 2 easiest guys.
That's what you do. All right, so the first one that Ryan's got is going to be Eugenio Suarez. And Eugenio is 31. He's going to be 32 July 18th. But I want to run through his career numbers because I'm sure Ryan's going to want to say, this is what he's doing this year, this is what so on and so forth. So his career in 4,300 at bats, he's got a batting average of 248, on base 332, and a slug 457. That's 231 home runs. Ryan, give us the bleakness that Eugenio is at right now and why you see him skyrocketing back to prominence at the second base position.
Well, it's pretty simple. He's a second half player. If you look at his splits in August, I think he averages maybe 8 or 9 home runs. He always struggles in the early months. And moving to Seattle certainly doesn't help. I mean, but he did it last year too when he was there. So, I mean, it's really a slam dunk for me. Really, I went out and got him as a throw-in earlier in the year because he's hitting right now 215, 310, 331, 7 home runs. I mean, that's below replacement level for third baseman. But so I had him as a throw-in, but like I said, second half numbers are always good. He has his best month in August, usually. And I forgot which podcast I was listening to, but they said August is the best month for home runs due to the heat and everything. So, I mean, that could certainly have something to do with it. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm hoping on is that once it warms up, the balls will start going. Because everything else, if you look, everything else he's doing is within what he always does.
Yeah.
He's a little less on fastballs, I think, than what he's normally, which maybe his bat speed's slowing down a little bit. But he's still crushing them. 99 on 4-seamers, expected slugging. So, I mean, everything has been lining up. He still is in the top 60 max EVs, hard hits, 79% barrel rate or percentile barrel rate, all that. So I think it's just a matter of time.
Sure. Ross?
That's a thumbs down.
Yeah, I figured.
Thumbs down.
It's the opposite of what Ross likes.
What's your thumbs rating, Brian? I'll give my explanation here. He's a thumbs down too. Okay, so it's a persuasive argument. In fact, I think it's pretty logically sound that he's a second half player and he's worth picking up for a few extra dingers. My hang up is I just can't endorse a guy that's now over 30 who in the last 3 years is a Mendoza line hitter, striking out 200 times a year. he's still hitting dingers. You're going to get some more dingers from him. So I'm okay with that. I can't endorse it as like a go buy this guy sort of situation. That's the only reason for my thumbs down. I think your argument makes total sense, and you're probably
it's context dependent.
Yeah, you're probably right on the money that you're going to get some extra dingers from this guy this year if you go buy him right now than what he's done so far. And that was the name of the game. So I'm cheating you a little bit.
No, and for a playoff push, and he's a throw-in, this would be a perfect player.
And that's exactly what I did it for.
Yeah, you're going to start coming into playoff time in fantasy baseball, and all of a sudden you're getting dingers out of somebody that wasn't even on your team this year. So it's just, it's a cherry on top to chase that title. I love it. I think it's great, but I don't want him on my team.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this guy, if we're talking about dynasty, especially like a keep forever dynasty, which most of us we're talking about that when we're referring to dynasty, he's a cancer after this point. Like, you can't get rid of him.
Sure.
You're stuck with him forever, and it's probably not going to get any better than what it is right now. But you're right, like, this guy could bring you a title just because all of a sudden he's on a hot streak at the right time. Yeah.
Well, my third baseman on that team is Brian Hayes and him, so
yeah,
struggling.
Ooh. Yeah,
I'm curious about his profile though, and Ross, you can probably enlighten us a little bit more than anybody, being a Reds fan. But man, in 2019, that's the guy that you want on your team. 49 home runs, 271 average. That guy was freaking legit in 2019.
Yeah,
he led the league in strikeouts, but
that's all right.
Yeah, he's got power. There's no doubt about that.
I wonder what happened to the average.
I think Ryan has been, well, it's a game of adaptation, and
yeah, they learned he likes to strike, or he likes to swing.
Yeah, and that is ultimately what doomed Joey Gallo too. It's you can't.
The resurgent Joey Gallo.
The resurgent Joey Gallo. Well, hey, I'm somewhat of a Joey Gallo guy, so like I'm not gonna fight it, but you can't just keep swinging away without pitchers getting wise to it eventually.
Yep.
It works for a while. And then there's more data that builds up. There's more information. There's more experience that people get, even without data. In a data-neutral setting, that if you and I, Ryan, are facing off, that we're learning things about each other every single time. And that's how the game of baseball works. And now we're in a very data-heavy system. So that just compounds it. And they're going to find and exploit every single weakness until you fill the gaps. And that's why we see players go through these waves of skill level or perceived skill level. They're hitting the ball really well. They're not hitting it so well,
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go on to the next one. Next one's going to be a little bit controversial. And I say that because at the very beginning of the offseason, the very beginning of the year, I came out and I said something. And I said, there is no chance that Endy Rodriguez makes it to the pros before Henry Davis. And I put multiple things behind this saying the Pittsburgh Pirates want Henry Davis in the pros because he was the face of the franchise, because he was the number 1 overall pick. And his stats were semi there. But Ryan has brought up Endy Rodriguez. And I just wanted to do that quick little plug there for myself, because I did say Henry Davis would be up before Endy Rodriguez. That is not a shot at Endy Rodriguez. I think Endy Rodriguez is amazing. And Ryan is going to break it down. Well, Ryan is going to talk about it after I break it down. 5'9", 170 foot-pound catcher, left fielder, first baseman, outfielder kind of guy. They're going to find a spot for him very soon. Pittsburgh Pirates fans, be really excited because I think Endy Rodriguez is going to be awesome. Matter of fact, I'm just going to give you the floor, Ryan, because I think Endy Rodriguez is awesome.
Yeah,
and matter of fact, before you even do it, I'm going to give you a thumbs up.
I mean, everybody's heard about his previous year. He was probably the best hitter in the minor leagues.
In the second half, absolutely,
arguably,
he was insane in the second half. Yeah,
little bit of a drop off this year, but he's been battling a wrist injury in April, and I think it's still affecting him. He was only on the 7-day IL, so he tried to battle back from it. Like everything I've read and everybody I've talked to have said that he's a great kid, that he wants to be out there. He's infectious, he loves baseball and he wants to be out there. So I think he's maybe playing a little bit hurt. Could explain the power a little bit, power outage. Still, 16% K rate for this year, so he's not striking out. He's holding his own at AAA. He's hitting 240. His average has been slowly creeping up from the beginning of the year. He's got 4 steals, 4 home runs, 240, 320, 373 slash line. I think it's just, and what Brian was saying was where he said that he thought that Davis would be up first and I agreed with him. I put something out there. Somebody asked me if they thought who would be up first, Davis or Rodriguez, and I said Davis. And my reasoning was that I think they're going to have Rodriguez be the full-time catcher for him. And I think they've already kind of decided with Davis to kind of have him be right field and then maybe eventually work him into first base if they trade Santana or whatever. And I think it shows that they are on that track because they're keeping Rodriguez in AAA working at catcher, where Davis has been he was up for the Cubs series. So just 3 games, I think.
Okay. It's been a handful.
3 games. But he played right field the first game and then he's DH the second. And they're keeping Hedges and Delay up as well. So he's probably not going to get a chance to catch. So I don't know if they're going to just kick the can and say, we'll let you DH and get your feet under you batting wise and then slowly work in catching. But he was a guy at Louisville who never called his own pitches. He's never worked a staff. And he's only had a half season really of actual catching in the professional baseball last year. So I think he might end up being a right fielder, but this is about Endy, so we'll get off Davis.
But the two are inextricably related to each other.
Yeah. They go hand in hand.
About one without the other. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I think they're going to keep Endy at catcher, and if they do, you might have a top 6 or 7 catcher when he comes up. Maybe not immediately, but once he gets his feet under him, I think once he gets over this injury, he will start doing what he did last year.
Yeah, his last year stats are unfreaking believable. You can't even replicate this, especially at the catcher position. Right. 323 average, 407 OBP, slugged 590, hit 25 home runs.
And also tell the whole story because
playing 3 different positions.
Yeah, it was better as he was going up levels, and it was insane in the second half. Like that video game numbers, guy was locked in, and we're seeing a different story this year so far.
I do wonder if it's more because he never played more than 100 games at a level in 2022. I wonder if he was. I mean, I don't have access to the data, and I don't think anybody does, but he might have just been sitting first pitch fastball or something. And he was promoted so quickly that nobody else got, like, the scouting hadn't caught up to him. Yeah. I mean, that could be something, but I mean, you don't hit 16 home runs, 8 home runs, and then 1 home run in Double A or Triple A to close out the year. But like, he's a good hitter, so I don't think it's a fluke, but he might just need time to readjust back.
Well, and I think he's got a track record that he's a good hitter too. It's not just a flash in the pan. It just something, to me, and looking at the numbers, it looks like something clicked. You know, that's the story that I see here.
Sure.
Different story this year. And I think you're right that it's probably injury driven. I also think you're right that they put, and Brian, I'm gonna knock you back down a notch.
Can't do
it for your shameless plug, because you said he was going to be the catcher, and Endy Rodriguez looks like he's going to be the catcher to me. That's why they're playing Henry Davis in the outfield. I still think that they're gonna promote. So our cohort at Scout the Statline, Big Bob's Cards, I gotta plug this, sent out a tweet asking the question, and this is an important question. Pirates have the second worst catcher WAR in the entire MLB. Second worst. It's awful. Their starting catcher is batting 175. They drafted a catcher with the number 1 overall pick. He is making his MLB debut tonight, playing right field instead of catcher. I mean, he just asked that simple question. The thing went kind of viral, and he got a lot of views on it, 3 million views. A lot of likes, like a lot of dislikes. Got a lot of comments on it. But it's a very simple question, and I think the answer to that question is within this conversation right here. They're putting Endy at catcher. They just weren't quite ready to promote him, and the Pirates aren't motivated to try to win the game right now. No. They're motivated to build the team that they think can win the game. So they're taking their time with it. Endy's been dealing with some health issues, but they think he's the catcher. That's what I'm seeing out of this. That's the narrative that's been woven as far as my interpretation of the events and the data and all of that I'm seeing is that they think Endy is their guy there. They're going to put him there.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's got to get healthy, and he's got to start hitting again because, I'm with you 100%. This is a resounding thumbs up from me too, by the way. A resounding thumbs up. There's just no way that what he did last year, in my mind, is a total mirage. So that suggests to me that something is different this year, and it's most likely health. So I'm hanging my coat on that. Because if it's not health, it's something else, then, it's something that I can't see and I can't predict. And
I mean, his BABIP is 276 when it didn't drop below 330 all last year. So something's up. And you have to think it's health.
One thing that you said, Ryan, that I don't want viewers to just skip over, and I thought it was terrific insight, was the Henry Davis take where he was not calling one pitch at Louisville.
Right.
That's impressive.
The only time that they would let him call pitches was when nobody was out. I don't want to misspeak. I forgot what, but it was just low intensity situations. They would let him call, but other than that, it would be coming from the pitching staff, which is kind of normal in college these days anyways.
But I find that very interesting and something that I did not know. And I don't want that to be skipped by. I think that's very important. And maybe a big reason why he is playing in right field. And
Well, and there's obviously a lot of clamoring on Twitter and stuff. And I mean, I'm more keyed into the Pirates Twitter than most. And they're like, well, why not just throw him out? They're at catcher.
Right. It's
At some
still
point,
baseball.
right. It's not fantasy. Like he does need to know how to catch.
Yeah.
He has a good arm. I mean, he has a good arm. He blocks fine. But like it or not, there's a element to catching that can't be quantified.
Yeah. Do you want the pitcher standing up there going,
right?
The whole time, like for 2 hours?
I actually thought they might have. I actually thought they might have had him catch today for Rich Hill, just because Hill could kind of call his own pitches, but
yeah,
he's still DH'd, and I think he had a walk and a run or something. But I think he's only had one hit so far. But still,
doesn't it seem like the narrative is becoming pretty clear?
Oh yeah,
I think yeah. All right, well. Cool. Yeah, I'm in agreement. He's a great buy low opportunity in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Buy low?
Yeah.
Buy low right now. Buy right now.
I'll try to go out and get him.
Yeah.
I would go out and get him too, but it is not going to be cheap.
I don't know. I mean, if somebody looks at those numbers, 240 through 20 through 73, that's.
I mean, on the surface, it looks like he just got usurped by Henry Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just watching the events that are going on, it's like Endy Rodriguez is batting 240 with a 693 OPS, and Henry Davis just got promoted to the major leagues. This was going to be my catcher of the future, and now it doesn't even look like he's going to play. You know, I guess you should use deception to try to get him. Like, hey, you know, that's not my game. But
you absolutely should. Narrative matters.
Narrative does matter, but you take it, you utilize that, right? And
sure,
Endy Rodriguez right now, and you don't even have to say a word because they've got their own interpretation of it. You just reach out and ask. You ask the question. And maybe you find out he's available, or maybe you find out he's just as expensive as he was before. And if that's the case, then you leave him alone. But if he's a buy opportunity, you take advantage of it. That's the advice we're imparting, right?
My favorite strategy when I want to get a prospect from somebody, and I don't want them to think that I'm going after the prospect, is I'll try to trade for like a third or fourth outfielder, and then I'll throw in the prospect just on the off chance and be like, you know, just to sweeten a deal.
He's okay,
and
I guess.
80% of the time it works, I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. No, my main strategy is like, this guy sucks. Trade him. Always works every time.
Yeah. I have one big fear with Endy. One big fear. This is body type related. And this is stats related. Could this be Francisco Mejia?
I don't see it. I think Francisco Mejia's.
Yeah.
I think his death knell is what we see from so many other players. It was just bad plate approach. You can't swing at everything. You have to. I mean, it might work. It carries you a certain distance. It carried him through the minor leagues.
But Mejia never had a walk rate above 8% either.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I can't say that.
And always low averages. So
yeah. I don't think we're looking at the same kind of situation with Endy.
Okay. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I can see why you asked that question. I can see where that's coming from for sure.
Okay. Well, that's what we got tonight, guys. Unless you have any throw-ins or add-ons that you want to go into. Guys. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
We'll talk to everybody later.